But you got in a cab with a married man. You got in a car with a married man.
But if I got in the car with you, I don't think I'd be all over the newspapers.
Yeah, I think you probably bloody would.
Welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we're looking at the all-time most uncomfortable interviews on ITV's This Morning, whether they were unsettling at the time or only because of what we know now.
I was getting to the point where I didn't like myself very much because I wasn't being honest with myself.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Number 30, Human Puppy.
But why not yoga? Why not meditation?
I don't quite know, to be honest.
You may have seen him on some other TV shows, notably on Channel 4, but in 2016, ITV wanted a piece of Spot the Dalmatian too, and so brought him onto This Morning. Spot, real name Tom, came on to talk to Holly Willoughby and Philip Schofield about the puppy subculture and how he came to find it.
You're very big for a puppy.
I'm still just as playful.
Don't you look really disappointed?
Your head went down.
Schofield, however, was rude from the off. Yes, it's bizarre, but he wasn't a particularly sympathetic interviewer. But then Tom started talking about his puppy pads, and Holly couldn't believe her ears.
There's one in the bowl. Oh. There you go. So whilst he's having his treat, because he's been a very good puppy so far...
They truly lost the plot when they gave him a biscuit to eat and started grilling his ex-fiancée about it all.
We're best friends.
You're best mates, yeah.
We're closer being separate than we were when
But
we
you
were
won't
together.
go out walking with him and all that
No.
sort of stuff. You don't do any of that
No.
stuff.
Number 29, Iris Jones.
The first night.
Oh, the first night. Pretty rough.
No This Morning video is complete without an appearance from Iris Jones, one of the sofa's most legendary guests. She first made headlines in 2020 because of this very interview, in which she talked about her 35-year-old Egyptian fiancé, Mohammed.
So the passion is alive,
Oh, God,
definitely.
yes, yeah.
Hilarious as this was, Holly didn't know where to look when Iris talked at length about she and Mohammed's first night together and the various facilitators they used.
Nobody had been near me for 35 years. I thought I was a virgin again.
Oh, really?
Anyway, but can I say what we used? A whole tube of KY jelly?
Oh.
Yeah, you can say that. You can say that.
And the thing is, I couldn't walk the next day. Yeah, I felt...
She showed up a few more times, sometimes with Mohammed himself. In hindsight though, all this looks bizarre because the very thing Iris insisted wasn't happening was. Mohammed was after her money and she ended up dumping him and replacing him with a cat.
And are your sons any closer to
a
accepting
little
him
bit.
into the family?
Yes.
Yeah.
They realise that my happiness is more important than their happiness.
Number 28, David Beckham.
How close do you reckon you're going to be able to get?
I don't know, but it's easier, like another 30 grand.
What would you do if you wanted to look like David Beckham? Pop down the gym, get a haircut, have some tattoos done? You could do that, yes. Or you could sack it off and spend tens of thousands on plastic surgery instead. That's what Jack Johnson did, turning up in 2016 to talk about his journey and how much more he had left to do.
And you've been to the doctors asking for a
Yeah.
gastro. And in your words, you said the doctors have kicked you out.
Yeah.
The story took a dark turn after he talked to Philip and Holly though, because Johnson ended up trying to take his own life. Johnson has since sought psychiatric treatment for body dysmorphic disorder and stopped having plastic surgery, warning others about not ending up in a hole of debt getting cosmetic procedures.
Do you ever worry that after doing all of this, spending all this money, putting your health at risk, that actually maybe you should just work on you?
Number 27, 18-hour orgasms.
Instead of having the traditional trajectory where you kind of get excited and then climax and then go to sleep, you're able to have an experience where you can keep going.
Schofield was desperate to know the secret to better sex that this American couple claimed to possess. Touting themselves as experts in tantric sex, they arrived via a video link to talk about how they'd separated orgasms and climaxes so that they can enjoy themselves for many hours at a time.
You're not doing that for 18 hours, are you? I mean, you'd be an empty shell.
Schofield desperately wanted to learn more about the mechanics of how it worked for blokes, and it was this need for tips and tricks that makes things a bit weirder than they could have been.
I mean, you must drive your neighbours bonkers.
We are shocked that they have not called the cops on us yet.
Melanie and Scott were extremely open about supposedly using energy to remain in an orgasmic state for hours, including just by hugging.
We could even be doing that now without,
Are you?
it being
Are you
too
doing that now?
crazy.
Sometimes.
Just a little bit.
Number 26, exploding bum implants.
When you say they're painful, how painful are we talking?
Well, when I'm lying down, when I'm driving, I really did not realise what it was going to be like.
More plastic surgery. This woman came on to discuss how she accidentally got bum implants that were too large. She said that they didn't look right, and they were so big it might take as long as 2 years to heal enough that she can sit down without pain. What made it more awkward, though, was the way Eamon Holmes talked about her. He began by suggesting they go to a different camera angle that would properly show off Star's rear, very interested in the procedure.
I don't think we should be doing this interview really on Star's face, with all due respect. Let's come and just see what we're talking about here, right?
He does always know how to take an interview in a weird direction, though to be fair, Ruth was also clamouring to get a better look.
Sideways, it's just very pointy. I don't know, it's...
But it is voluptuous and bigger, which is what you wanted,
It looks good through clothes, but...
Number 25. Woman marries her dog. In this moment, we were all Alison Hammond, baffled at how daytime TV had come to this.
He's now just turned 6, but for the first 4 years he was locked up in a utility cupboard, chained up, beaten,
awful,
starved.
After being unlucky in love for her whole life, Elizabeth Hoad finally settled down with Logan, a golden retriever.
Okay, but Elizabeth, do you not get to the stage where you have to ask yourself the question, is it them or is it you?
It must be me. I mean, I don't know.
Britain's love of animals, dogs in particular, does get extreme from time to time, and plenty of foreigners think it's bizarre, but even this was a bridge too far for most.
I mean, seriously, you want to marry your dog.
100%.
We're not joking.
It's not just me. I meet with about 10 other friends a week. We go on lots of treks with all our dogs.
The live wedding was just meant to be symbolic of how she'd found meaning in her life by rescuing Logan, but it was still very strange, going viral because of how Alison couldn't keep it together while officiating the service.
I will now pause to let them speak. Bark. Now or forever hold their peace.
Number 24, Ghost Lover.
But you can't wrap your arms around a ghost. No. So how physically, how does the sex bit happen? You can still feel it. Like it was it's difficult to explain.
What's weirder, marrying a dog or sleeping with a ghost? Well, at least you can prove definitively that the dog exists. This woman, Amethyst Realm, has appeared on This Morning many times to talk about her dalliances with the spirit world, and has claimed elsewhere that she's had intimate relations with at least 20 spirits.
And does a sexual experience with a ghost end in orgasm? For me. Yeah. Gosh, so wow.
Throughout her appearances, she talked about how she was caught cheating on her living fiancé with the ghost, though that relationship ended.
So it's not the same one coming back 20 times?
No, it's often different ones.
She said they split after the ghost got bored of having sex with her. But that doesn't matter, because ghosts are apparently lining up to spend the night in her bed. Number 23. Flat earthers.
One is water always finds level. So in our own experience in natural physics, you have a cup of tea or a swimming pool or a lake, water is level.
These three blokes adamantly believed that the earth was flat and turned up to argue their case with Schofield, a devout lover of the round earth theory. Gary insisted he'd proved the earth is flat by shining a laser over a lake, but not the whole lake because, as he says, it's too big.
We've actually done a laser test from one end of the lake to the, well, didn't do the full lake because it's massive, but we did a 12-kilometre test.
Another refused to believe that gravity behaves the way scientists say it does, because he couldn't wrap his head around the Earth being a sphere.
Sir Isaac Newton got that wrong, did he? Did he just get that completely wrong?
Well, I don't think he particularly got it wrong.
But it's another moment that looks awkward in retrospect, because while Schofield ardently debunks it, Holly is right by his side, insisting that he isn't a liar. Number 22, Sophia.
Could she turn on us? I mean, if she got smart enough that she was doing her own thing, is that possible?
We'll get to more robots later, but Sophia is easily one of the creepiest things ever created by humankind. AI has taken on a less humanoid form in recent years, but for a while we thought robots like this were going to be everywhere in the near future. That, thankfully, hasn't happened, because we'd all be terrified with Sophia's walking around.
You are a fan of This Morning, aren't you?
In fact, I am an admirer of your work. I am a big fan of your other show, Dancing on Ice, as well.
Holly was visibly disturbed, trying to ask her questions about whether she was planning to replace humans, while the stilted way she spoke made this interview very uncomfortable.
My AI is constantly improving.
Oh, well, it's lovely
and I even learned how to draw.
We're surprised that Holly didn't swap places with Philip so that he was in the firing line, had Sophia gone rogue. Number 21, Philip Schofield comes out.
And today, Philip would like to share something with you. And to help him do that, he's here with his on-screen partner, but more importantly, his friend, Holly.
This entire item is a core This Morning moment that looks very odd in retrospect. After the tabloids threatened to leak his sexuality, Schofield took matters into his own hands and came out as gay, persuading Willoughby to read his statement before then interviewing him about how he felt.
It's funny because everyone I've spoken to, you, have all been so supportive.
Years later, and we found out that Schofield had been hiding not just his sexuality, but an inappropriate relationship with a younger member of staff. Holly delivered a very strange address to the nation, where she put Schofield on blast for being a liar, and he vanished from the public eye.
You, me, and all of us at This Morning gave our love and support to someone who was not telling the truth.
When he reappeared on Channel 5, he slammed everyone at ITV for being a traitor.
All you can be in your life is honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And I was getting to the point where I knew I wasn't honest with myself.
Number 20, the gold digger and the sugar daddy.
Just usually go for meals, things like that, holidays.
Sex?
Nope, never.
Never?
Never, no.
And do they know that before they lavish you with these presents?
No, they don't know that.
Proud gold digger Laura Boylan appeared on the This Morning couch and instantly shot herself in the foot by saying she will always string rich men along, but never give them what they want. Sex. But when they bring up her kids, and them not knowing the truth about what she gets up to, things get even more awkward.
As far as an example to your kids are concerned, I mean, they will know that you were going out with a rich football manager who you then ditched for his richer friend. Because I just said it out loud.
Honestly, it's like she didn't realise this was going to be broadcast to the entire country. As if things weren't bad enough, they passed the interview over to self-confessed sugar daddy Mark Vanderpump, who defends his right to fix up with a gold digger, and Phil was having none of it.
I like to have a pretty thing on my arm.
That's been rephrased slightly.
No, it hasn't, because I double-checked. That is exactly what you said.
Number 19. Facials, sort of. Stop us if you've heard this one before, but back in 2015, something called a vagina facial was trending in the UK.
I felt lovely and warm, actually.
A nice feeling?
Yes, nice warm.
As such, the This Morning crew brought on some lovely ladies to receive one of these live on television and gathered around afterwards to interview them about the results. The responses were certainly not what we expected.
I feel a bit like I've just had sex, actually. I feel a bit damp.
While the ladies involved gave these so-called vajacials glowing reviews, we have never really heard of this trend since, so maybe it was a little short-lived.
Yeah, you're looking about 3 to 6 months, so if I've got to start working on the men's treatment next.
Number 18, Carl Pilkington. Carl's already one of the most awkward blokes in the country, just ask Ricky Gervais. But when he appeared on This Morning to promote his new book, he took it to a whole new level. Right off the bat, he claims he's written more books than he's read, and he's certainly not the best salesman when pitching why people should buy his new one.
It's not heavy. There's not big words in it. It's interesting.
Lots of pictures.
A few pictures. No, it's not a picture book.
But perhaps what this interview is best remembered for is Carl's incredible technique for relieving himself on long car journeys, which involves a hot water bottle.
Always have hot water bottle under the passenger seat, and it's ideal for relieving yourself into because it holds a lot of liquid. The top bit.
Lesson. Number 17, the mystery caller. In 2016, Rylan was still in the first year of his marriage to Dan Neil, and so it was all fun and games when his husband rang up the studio for a cheeky prank call.
Yes, I do agree with Barbara. I let my husband think he's always right, but what he doesn't realise is that it's me that wins the argument.
This was hot off the story that the secret to a happy marriage is to let your husband win all the arguments, which Rylan shakes his head at. The next caller, Sam, says that the secret to a happy marriage is also letting your husband think he's always right.
Hang on.
I don't know, I can't do it.
Sam, is that your real name?
No, Holly, it's Dan on the line. Someone told me.
When Rylan realises he's being tricked, they start bickering.
Genuinely think he's always right.
Yeah, but I am.
No, you're not, Ross.
You're not allowed to have a domestic over online.
This was already awkward at the time, but knowing that in 2021, Rylan and Dan split up, and you start questioning whether the call was really so innocent. Number 16, Gino DeCampo. Gino is of course a This Morning staple, but he's usually found tucked away in the kitchen rather than sitting on the couch.
He's one of our favorite Italian who has history causing chaos in this morning studio.
Correct.
We already knew we were in for a wild ride when he took it upon himself to make his own introduction, saying that he can do Holly and Phil's job any day. The conversation quickly moves to his relationship with other celebrity chefs and his rather blunt opinion on the French.
He's always been this French and Italian because everybody know that I don't like French people. So, and
across the board?
Generally.
But the meat of it, if you will, is when Gino describes how his good buddy, Mr. Gordon Ramsay, would wake him up every morning on their travels together.
No, seriously, he used to wake me up, and he actually admitted he used to wake me up, he used to bash his willy on my foot.
Did he?
Yes.
Number 15, the moon conversation.
Not only has it not been released, NASA destroyed it.
Well, or lost
Why
it.
would they have destroyed it?
The idea that the moon landing was faked has been the topic of debate for generations, but leave it to daytime telly to get to the bottom of it. A debate was held between Martin Kenny, who believes no one's been to the moon, and cosmologist Dr. Sarah Bozeman, who dismisses his claims as nonsense. But how do you convince a man who will barely let you get a word in?
The actual data that was taken during those Apollo missions. Right? The scientific data.
That's not true.
Hold on, let me finish.
As the interview goes on, Martin's claims get more and more absurd, to the point where he even questions whether the moon is what we think it is.
And people have taken photographs and images showing it sometimes translucent. You can see through it, right? Sometimes it's got something called a lunar wave.
Number 14, a discussion of size.
What is termed a micropenis, right?
So I wouldn't use that term myself. Right. It's a very specific medical term.
There's absolutely no holds barred when it comes to This Morning, which means a discussion on the size of smaller than average penises is all par for the course. And Smith came on the show claiming to have a small todger and that he's actually proud of it. Here, he gave a pretty in-depth presentation, complete with elaborate diagrams and some less than necessary anecdotes by Eamon, as usual.
But my wife points out, as you can see there, David wasn't overly generously endowed.
To be fair though, it takes balls to come on telly and talk about this, and Mr. Smith actually has good intentions by conducting this interview, so hats off to him.
Don't be pulling anything unless it's under medical supervision.
That's correct.
Number 13, Will Williams. Now don't get us wrong, we believe in the power of Will's Bija meditation, but to the untrained eye, some things can look a little rude, such as the opening of this session.
Bending forward.
Okay.
Because your nervous system runs through your spine.
While Will tries to put the two hosts through a peaceful journey of their mind and spirit, Phil is constantly opening his eyes, completely unable to tell when the cue to start talking again is.
That was very, very, very relaxing.
I don't want to stop.
Well, let's finish with one little exercise to close off.
The session was apparently so relaxing that Alice Bear even ended up falling asleep on the couch on live telly.
Oh, she has.
She's on the other side of the studio. She started doing it. I don't know whether she's actually gone to sleep or what, but...
Number 12, The Makeover. A common segment on This Morning and daytime talk shows in general is to bring in a member of the general public and give them a fabulous makeover.
What do you think?
Do you like it, Carol? If it... Oh,
I'm not
darling.
sure.
Only thing is, usually the guests love their transformation, but that wasn't the case this time around. The lady burst into tears, hating what she had become, and Holly was distraught at the whole ordeal. To make things worse, when the two were seen leaving, there was a dramatic car accident.
We got a river cruise.
Oh my God!
No.
Oh my God! What is happening?
At least it would have been dramatic if this all wasn't an elaborate April Fool's Day prank aimed at Holly. Still doesn't make it easier to watch.
They're actors.
Number 11, putting on a brave face.
Oh, we're going round again.
Let's go round again.
Oh,
fun.
2019 was rocked with allegations that Willoughby and Schofield were fighting off camera, and that when they weren't working, there was an unpleasant atmosphere. This left eagle-eyed viewers tuning in to see if they could sense the unease for themselves, leading to a Twitter moment where they were placed under even more scrutiny. Yet again, we see that hindsight is 2020.
Got a 7-year-old. I'm a pro at Helter Skelters. We do this all the time.
Can I just say, you are my 7-year-old.
Whether they were rowing at the time or not, we do know that Schofield was rampantly lying to Willoughby, who'd questioned him herself about whether there was any truth to the rumours about him and the runner he was having an affair with. This makes the whole show look even more artificial.
Forget a white Christmas because this year it's all about a green Christmas.
Number 10, Samantha Brick. In 2012, journalist Samantha Brick faced a furious backlash when she wrote an article claiming that other women hated her because she was beautiful.
Samantha, first of all, is this all just a publicity stunt and have we all just fallen for it?
No, not at all.
In this interview, Brick reveals how she has received thousands of offensive messages since the story broke, but if she had been expecting a sympathetic ear from her hosts, she was soon disappointed.
Maybe you give off, so say you walk into a party, you give off an air of kind of arrogance or superiority. Maybe that's why the women don't like you.
Ruth Langsford has other ideas for why women might not like Brick, and judging by the presenter's own comments, we're guessing that she's not Samantha's biggest fan either.
You say, I probably won't like you when you walk into a room because you're attractive, and I do take offence to that. I think that's totally wrong.
Number 9, gender-neutral school uniforms. Paris Lees and Angela Epstein appeared on the show in 2017 to debate whether boys should be allowed to wear skirts in school. And with the women holding such contrasting views, it was perhaps inevitable that sparks would fly.
What right have you got to come on here and say that anybody else hasn't got a right to dress however they want to? We've got more important things to be worrying about in the world than what clothes people are wearing.
The guests take turns to sneer and snipe at each other, not unlike the arguments that might occur in the schools and playgrounds they're discussing. As tempers continue to rise, even the typically mild-mannered Philip Schofield begins to lose his patience.
Why are you rolling your eyes?
I just find the whole thing completely ridiculous. Like,
Well,
you're
we're
offended.
debating it. It's not ridiculous.
Okay, but
Number 8, Noel Edmonds. Following his recovery from prostate cancer, Noel Edmonds appeared on the show in 2016 to defend his belief that negative energy can make people more prone to illness.
You go one of two ways. You either decide you're going to focus on living your life, or you decide you're going to resign yourself to living your death.
Most controversially, the Deal or No Deal presenter claimed that electromagnetic pulse machines could slow aging and tackle cancer.
Obviously, people are going to get a little bit sceptical with the fact that you keep banging on about this £2,300 box, well, you know the people who were making it.
And it didn't end with this interview either. In the months that followed, Schofield and Edmonds continued their argument on Twitter, with Edmonds calling Schofield a fool and Schofield calling Edmonds tactless and insensitive. Number 7, The Doll Man. Introducing Bob Gibbons. He's the proud owner of more than 240 love dolls, and in 2011 he decided to share his unusual collection with Holly, Phil and the rest of the world. Sat around him in the studio, the dolls arguably look like something from a low-budget horror film.
That's what they actually call a boy toy. They come from the USA. But
if you think they look creepy, just wait until Bob reveals what he and his wife actually do with them.
That seems a little strange that you would get them ready and take them out.
Bob's quick to assure Phil that his relationship with the dolls is purely platonic, but Holly is clearly very sceptical.
I don't see them in that light. I don't see
Some of them are
in that
dressed
way.
quite provocatively, though.
Number 6. The Benefits Mother. Mother of 12, Cheryl Prudhomme, appeared on the show in 2016 to defend her apparent exploitation of the benefit system. Prudhomme was then receiving over £40,000 a year from the government, but Phil and especially Holly debate whether the money is going to a good cause.
Yeah, I could save up for cosmetic surgery.
Which obviously that would come off the
Obviously,
benefits,
yeah.
and the people who are contributing to the sort of welfare state will be paying for your cosmetic surgery.
As the conversation progresses, Holly struggles to keep her cool, highlighting the plight of other people who struggle to get the benefits they need.
So how can you sleep at night? No, you know how important your kids are to you. That person with a young carer, their child is equally as important to them.
Prudhomme, though, remains unrepentant, leaving her labelled in the press as Britain's most shameless mum. Number 5. Kim Woodburn. In 2017, this star of How Clean Is Your House appeared on Celebrity Big Brother, where she was at the centre of a number of explosive arguments.
But I'm not sorry I said them. For what was happening to me, you'd have had to have been a saint, which I'm not.
She seemingly went on this morning to put the record straight, but Kim continues her antagonistic approach, and the talk turns frosty when Phil asks a question about money.
So how much do they pay you?
It's nothing to do with you, Philip, is it? What are they paying you?
Well, nothing to do with
Then
you.
don't be naughty. Thank you.
It's all downhill from there, with Schofield claiming Woodburn is argumentative, and Woodburn accusing Schofield of bullying.
I don't like you to, when I get on here, have an attitude that I'm to blame, and you know damn all about it.
We're just asking you a question.
No, you're not, Phil.
With neither side backing down, it's up to Holly to hurriedly end the interview. Number 4. The Sex Robot. When Aaron Lee Wright took to the show to talk about a sex robot he had co-created, the entire studio seemed sufficiently stumped. The robot is turned off, but we still get to hear a sample of suggestive lines it can say.
We've turned her off.
Yes.
So that she doesn't come out with anything
inappropriate.
Of course.
Yeah.
And if that's not weird enough, when Holly raises the prospect of a child stumbling across the machine, Wright makes this disturbing revelation.
Well, I had 2 children myself, and they actually... She's got Smart has a family mode, which it's impossible.
It's all too much for resident psychologist Emma Kenny, who promptly pitches her impassioned counter-argument.
This is not real. She is not called Samantha. She's a piece of whatever you've made.
Number 3. Kerry Katona. To one of the more infamous moments in the This Morning back catalogue, and a 2008 appearance by Kerry Katona which left viewers genuinely concerned for the former singer's health.
There was an accident on the road this morning and she's just managed to sit down.
Just got in
Nice
time.
and calm.
Kerry was on the show trying to relaunch herself as celeb to be taken seriously, but her efforts backfired thanks to this slurred interview.
It makes me like, wow, to how I am now, it was such a relief. I mean, they were so big. I mean, you could see.
Fern Britton seems to suggest that Katona had been drinking, while Kerry blamed her behaviour to medication, making for increasingly uncomfortable viewing.
Your speech is a bit slurred. I mean, how are you feeling
Is
now?
it?
It is a bit.
Phil and Fern also received some criticism for their handling of what's clearly a very delicate situation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for answering our questions.
Not a problem, thank
You might
you.
have felt you were put on the spot.
Yeah, thanks.
Number 2. The Ali G impersonation. Following a campaign by the Sun newspaper to get Richard Madeley to change his hairstyle, viewers voted in overwhelming numbers for him to adopt the look of Sacha Baron Cohen's comedy character, Ali G, and Madeley doesn't disappoint.
Now, Judy, when you was presenting with Richard, what does your real husband think?
Richard, you are my real husband.
He appears in costume to interview Judy, who mostly humours her husband in between despairing at his jokes.
Is it okay if I, Ali, does the show with you today?
What, looking like that? I'm afraid not.
Is it because I's black?
Oh.
Opinion on Richard's performance was divided, with some singing his praises, but in terms of comedy value cringe, few telly moments can trump this.
The first take we did just before the show went on air, I couldn't do it anyway, but I really couldn't do it. I sounded Welsh.
Number 1. Katie Hopkins. Former The Apprentice contestant Katie Hopkins never seems far from controversy, but she really ruffled feathers in 2013 when she admitted to judging other people's children based on their names.
A name for me is a shortcut. It's a really efficient way of working out what class that child comes from. Do I want my children to play with them?
In the now notorious interview, Hopkins explains how she won't let her kids play with children whose names she doesn't like, which leaves Holly reeling. And as the argument grows more and more heated, Phil is forced to step in.
Great deal. All together, ladies, you're all talking together.
Sorry, I can't help.
But there's a fantastically satisfying twist when the presenters take aim at Hopkins' own choice of child names, leaving their guest with egg on her face.
So, Brooklyn or London.
Your child's called India.
Yes, but you know, that's because it's not...
Let us know in the comments if you still tune in to This Morning or just catch the viral bits online later.
I know that Philip used to host a show with a human-operated gopher puppet, so talking with a robot should be easy for you.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.